everyone, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Hunchback. Chapter 4. Pierre follows Esmeralda. Paris was shutting down for the night. Stores were closing and shopkeepers were heading home. The streets were dark and deserted. Pierre followed the gypsy through the lanes and alleys. At least she knows the way, Pierre thought, because I am certainly lost. After a while, the girl saw that he was following her. She stopped for a moment to turn and look at him. Pierre felt bad, so he slipped down and counted the cobblestones underneath his feet. Suddenly he heard screaming. Racing around the corner, he found two men trying to carry the gypsy girl away. "Stop that right now," Pierre shouted. One of the men turned. It was Quasimodo. He took a quick step toward Pierre and pushed him with all his might. The poet fell to the ground and was knocked out cold. Quasimodo picked up the gypsy girl, started to carry her off as if she weighed nothing at all. But before he could get away, members of the king's guard came charging up on their horses. "Put the girl down," the captain shouted as he ripped Esmeralda from the hunchback's arms and lifted her onto his horse. The soldiers leaped off their horses and tried to hold Quasimodo, who fought as hard as he could. The other man with Quasimodo disappeared before the captain's men could catch him. Are you all right, miss? It's a good thing the king's guard was here. My name is Captain Phoebus." "Fine, thank you, kind sir," she said as she slipped off her horse. Before Captain Phoebus could say anything, she too sped off into the night. "Let's take him to jail," Captain Phoebus said. "They can punish him tomorrow." The guards rode off with poor Quasimodo in tow. Meanwhile, Pierre lay on the cobblestones. The painful chill of the ground finally woke him up. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in the gutter. He thought for a moment about what had happened. There was none of the man with the hunchback, but who could it have been? Pierre gasped when he realized the answer. Claude Frollo, the archdeacon. Why did he want to take the young gypsy girl? "My goodness," Pierre shouted, "it's cold." The man in the gutter was stealing the heat from his body at a very fast pace. Just as Pierre had convinced himself that he would be stuck in the mud for days, a group of teenagers came along. They had an old straw mattresses that had lit on fire to keep warm. They tossed it into the gutter and laid it on top of Pierre. By the time he was able to gather enough energy to stand up, the flames were inches away from his face. "It's the ghost of the gutter," one of the boys yelled. Pierre screamed and ran in one direction. The boys ran in another. "What are you running from?" Pierre asked himself when he calmed down. "You silly man, those boys were as afraid of you as you were of them." Legs sore from running, Pierre tried to find his way back to the mattress, thinking it would be at least warm, but not knowing which direction to walk, he turned again and again until he finally saw a light at the end of the street. As he glanced down, Pierre could see what looked like people of all shapes and sizes making their way down to the light. Once his eyes adjusted, Pierre saw a man with no legs walking on his hands. "Good charity, kind sir, and good night to you," the man said as he moved past the poet. Another shape moved Pierre. This time it was a man with one arm using a crutch. Pierre tried to move aside so the men could walk with ease, but no one got his way. A blind man with a long white beard. Each beggar held out his hands to Pierre to ask for a coin, but the poet had none to give. Pierre hung his head and started to walk away. But three misshapen men started walking behind him. If he sped up, they sped up. If he slowed down, they slowed down. Soon there was an entire parade of helpless men, sleepers, and other beggars walking with him. Finally, after trying back and making way through the crowd, he came to a square. "Where am I?" Pierre asked. "Why, the Court of Miracles," one of the beggars answered. The Corner of Miracles was the place where thieves, gypsies, and other ruined members of Paris spent their nights. Fires blazed there in the wide open square. Old broken down houses framed the area. Many strange people surrounded him, shouting, "Lead him to the king! To the king!" The king?" Pierre asked. "But doesn't he live in the house?" "Not that king, sonny, not that king," an old man cried. The crowd pushed him toward a rundown old tavern. Inside, worm-eaten tables surrounded the fireplace, which was red hot with a pot boiling inside. Men and women who made their money on the streets surrounded poor Pierre. The so-called king sat on top a barrel inside his fire. His second in command, the legless man, said, "Take off your hat." When Pierre didn't move, someone reached over and pulled the hat from his head. "Well, well," the king said, "what do we have here?" The king was none other than the beggar who had ruined his play that morning. Clopin. "What's your name?" Clopin asked him. "And what do you want to do? If you're not one of us, you'll be in quite a bit of trouble. This is our secret hideaway. No one but tramps, thieves, and beggars is allowed here." "My name is Pierre Gringor. I am a poet." "A poet? Well, that says it. I told you only tramps, thieves, and beggars are allowed. Poets are most certainly not welcome here." Pierre spun around and said, "Most powerful emperors and kings, surely you do not mean any harm. I am a poet. I wrote the play many of you saw this morning. And look, I've nothing in my pockets. Many poets are tramps, thieves, just like you." Clopin spoke quietly with the man beside him. "With all your soul," he asked Pierre. "Do you join us as a tramp?" Pierre nodded. "I do." "Very well," said Clopin, "but first you must pass the test." The tramps brought in a scarecrow and propped it up in the middle of the room. "You must balance on one leg and pull the scarf from the scarecrow's pocket. If you can steal the scarf, you can prove that you'd be a tramp and one of us." "Fine," Pierre said, "although I might break my legs trying." He stood up on a table so he could reach the scarecrow's pocket, lifted up the right foot and swayed. The scarecrow was very tall, at least 2 feet taller than poor Pierre, even when he was standing on the table. "Careful," Clopin said. "The bells on his pockets will chime if you miss." Pierre tried very hard to stand still on one leg. The table wobbled as he reached his arm up above his head. Just as he had the scarf in his hand, he went tumbling on the floor. The scarf got caught in the scarecrow's pocket, and bells jingled loudly. "Oh no," Pierre said. "That's it," Clopin said, laughing. "You're done. Boys, round him up and get him out of here." "Wait." The crowd parted and the gypsy girl stood there. Cries of Esmeralda rose up all around Pierre. "Are you going to hurt this man?" she boldly asked Clopin. "Why, yes, unless you ask not to. You know that I look upon you as our queen, Esmeralda. If you think this man should be spared, then we'll do so, but I don't see why you'd want him to live. He tried to save me when those awful men tried to take me away, so yes, I'm asking you to spare him." Pierre must have thought this was all a dream, but then the men who were holding him let him go. "You know that if you save him, you're responsible for him, who must settle it with the jug." "Fine," Esmeralda said. "Where is it?" One of the tramps handed her a jug. She gave it to Pierre. "Throw it on the floor." He did exactly as she asked, and the jug broke into 4 pieces. "There you have it," Clopin said. "By all of my power, you are now married for 4 years. He pointed to Pierre. "You're free to go, but our laws say you must prove that you are one of us by the time those 4 years are up. Now get out of my sight." Okay, that's the end of that chapter. See you later.